Today in History. It's July 28th, and we continue with our journey to the past.
We have a busy day. We have 3 events to share with our listeners this morning. But first, as always, here is my quiz question.
All right.
A person that sets a trend and becomes popular for the way they dress can be described as, number 1, a fashion item, or number 2, a fashion icon. All right, one more time. A person that sets a trend and becomes popular for the way they dress can be described as, number 1, a fashion item, or number 2, a fashion icon.
Well, Steve, you're a radio icon.
I am not a fashion. I almost gave the answer away.
Okay.
Didn't I? Yeah. Well, if you do know the answer right now, you can put your answers on our Bundy board or text in pounder sharp 1045 on your cell phone. That will cost you 51 to win an Usan. And now let's find out what's on the list for today. Today in history. In 1866, Beatrix Potter was born. In 1929, Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy Onassis was born. And in 1951, Walt Disney's Alice in Wonderland was released.
네, 1866년 오늘은요, 피터 래빗의 작가인 베아트릭스 포터가 태어난 날이었고요. 1929년에는 존 F 케네디 전 미국 대통령의 아내인 제클린 케네디 오나시스가 태어난 날이기도 합니다. 1951년에는 월트 디즈니의 이상한 나라의 앨리스가 개봉되었던 그날이기도 하고요.
Oh, that's the Korean title, Alice 이상한 날.
이상한 나라의 앨리스.
Alice's Strange Day. I never heard that before. That's cool. Well, today we begin our journey to the past with we have 3 remarkable ladies, first of all, who went down in history as iconic figures all on their own, right?
Right. The first lady on the list was the British author, Beatrix Potter, who was born on this day in 1866.
Potter was best known for her children's books in particular. Of course, we all know The Tale of Peter Rabbit, a unique portrait of British landscape and country life.
That's right. And Potter started exploring her creative side through her journals. Wow. That she began writing at the age of 14 when we got our driver's licenses.
Yeah, right.
She was an avid reader of every branch of science except for astronomy.
Oh, okay. Well, as for her literary and artistic side, she was deeply influenced by fairy tales and fantasy stories. Among her many sources of inspirations were the Old Testament, Uncle Tom's Cabin, Aesop's Fables, The Brothers Grimm, and Hans Christian Andersen, as well as Lewis Carroll's iconic The Adventures of Alice in Wonderland.
Potter published 23 books, and they have been steady bestsellers throughout generations.
Yeah, really interesting author, right?
Yeah.
Started writing in her journals at 14, so I guess that's when she knew that she wanted to become a writer.
Probably. Did
Yeah.
you see the movie, Miss Potter?
I don't think I did, no. Did
yeah.
you?
I kind of did.
Yeah.
I flipped through channels and, I caught like glimpses of it.
Any good?
I think it was pretty good. It's
Yeah.
just a, biographical story.
Tells her story,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, interesting. All right, well, let's move on now to the 20th century when one of the most renowned ladies in the political and social life scenes was born on this day way back in 1929.
Right. Known as simply Jackie, her name is Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy Onassis, one of the most remembered first ladies in the world, and she's a cultural icon of her own.
That's right. There's a picture of her on Poiden Radio. Well, she rose to prominence and became a target of global paparazzi as the wife of John F. Kennedy, and she was immensely popular thanks to her skills at entertaining and hosting various social gatherings.
And in her role as the First Lady of the United States, she underwent the task of restoring the White House. The unveiling of her work took place in a nationwide broadcast that brought 56 million people to watch the televised tour, and she won an Emmy Award for that.
Let's have a look at a clip.
What is the diplomatic reception room used for besides receiving diplomats?
Well, it's the room that people see first when they come to the White House. Everyone who comes to a state dinner here comes through it and leaves by it. So I think it should be a pretty room.
It's the way I came in, and it's a beautiful room. The wallpaper is magnificent.
Yes, this is wallpaper that was printed in France about 1834. It's all scenes of America. Niagara Falls,
That dude is such a liar. Well, that's the way I came in. And look at that. Look at that wallpaper. It's magnificent.
I mean, he knew.
He doesn't care about the wallpaper.
He knew that there was renovation. That's why. If he didn't know, he wouldn't have noticed it.
Right. Anyway, that was an interesting clip. That was from the White House Tour, which was a documentary film with Jacqueline Kennedy. Anyway, she was also a skilled writer and a poet, speaking of writers again. In fact, in her later years, she worked as an editor, often writing the introduction of the books she revised, and one of her first subjects was Frank Sinatra.
Wow, Frank Sinatra. But besides politics, Jackie was also a huge influence and source of inspiration for many artists, including Andy Warhol, as well as fashion designers.
In fact, since her days as the First Lady, she was a symbol of fashion of women worldwide. Her outfits, accessories, including the famous Jackie sunglasses, right? We're looking at them there on Poinen Radio. Well, this was a style in general that was often the subject of much admiration across the globe. She was very fashionable, wasn't she?
Yes, she was. And I think she really liked pink.
Yeah,
for some reason.
She wore it well.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I can pull off a pink outfit from head to toe like that.
Well, she was a trendsetter, wasn't she?
Yeah, she definitely was.
People just wanted to wear what she was wearing. All right, so our last event today.
Right, and finally in 1951, we talked about Walt Disney's release of the classic film Alice in Wonderland, which is a critically acclaimed classic that is now considered as the best movie adaptation of Lewis Carroll's novel,
That's
Alice
right.
in Wonderland.
Now, it took 5 years to complete, but it also took 10 years of preparation prior to the start of production.
But despite the anticipation and positive reviews, Alice in Wonderland didn't enjoy the same success at the box office, and it wouldn't be until 20 years later that it was re-released, the first time for a Disney movie, of course.
Interesting how sometimes when things like movies or songs get released and they don't do well originally, then they re-release them.
Right.
And then they're way more successful. Interesting.
Yeah, that's all about timing.
It is. Timing is everything when you're talking movies and music, right? Did you enjoy what was it, Johnny Depp? Was it Johnny Depp?
Yes, it was Johnny Depp came out as the Hatter.
Right.
Right.
Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, I think it was a very interesting adaptation of the movie.
It was interesting. Johnny Depp really enjoys those quirky characters, doesn't he?
And it suits him well, too.
He can do them very well.
Can you do him?
No, not even close.
Okay.
All right, well, that's it for today in history. And before we wrap it up, the answer to the quiz question. The question was, a person that sets a trend and becomes popular for the way they dress can be described as, number one, a fashion item? Nope. Number two, a fashion icon.
All right, that's all that we have for today in history, but we'll be back tomorrow with more, right?
We will indeed. And when we come back from this break, Paul Kim joins us in the studio and gets us caught up all to do with the world of sport. Here's Jason Mraz. You can rely on me.